Hey there, I'm Kim, and this is the Executive Assistant Playbook. Happy Friday, friends! We made it. I am so excited you're here. Whether you have had an easy breezy, beautiful CoverGirl week, or you have had an atrocious week that you would not repeat for all the money in the world, I am happy that we have all made it, and the weekend is upon us, and I hope you have something amazing planned. So, like I said in the intro video, on Fridays, we do Ask Kim Fridays. It's where either I share unsolicited advice from my own career, or I answer your questions, or both. So, on today's session, we're going to cover just a couple of things that have come up recently in talking to some of my colleagues and friends, and just some stuff that I've seen come up on the internet. So, grab your tea, your coffee, your wine. It's tea for me today, a lovely peppermint. While it is happy hour somewhere, it is not happy hour here. So let's talk about just a couple of things that I think are important. First of all, tattoos in the workplace has come up recently, and wanted to give my unsolicited opinion on that. Obviously, I have tattoos. I love them. I think they're so cool. The artistry that goes into it is amazing these days, and I love all of my tattoos mean something to me, and I love representing this artwork on my body. And I have worked for places in the past that have been very cool with tattoos, and you could have sleeves upon sleeves, and no one would care as long as you didn't have anything offensive, tattooed on your body. And I have also worked for places that are more traditional and conservative, and did not view tattoos as something that could be seen in a professional light. So I know that for those of us that sport artwork on our bodies, we paid for it. We invested in it. It often has a lot of meaning to us, and we want to be able to show it. But the thing about working for people who do not have those same views is, you're likely not going to be able to convince them otherwise. If you are seeking out a job that is traditionally more conservative, and you're not comfortable covering up those tattoos, or removing your piercings, or putting in spacers, or whatever, I will tell you that companies just will not budge on it. If that's within their dress code policy, they're not going to budge, and there's nothing you can do. So you can either suck it up and deal with it, or move on to a place that allows you to be more openly who you are. So I will say, during the time that I worked for a very traditional company in which they requested I cover my tattoos, it was initially off-putting to me that was in their dress code policy. There's something going around on the internet. Someone wrote this really funny meme of tattoos are proof that you can sit for hours on end in painful situations that are very akin to meaningless meetings, which is true. You just don't get something as cool as a really awesome tattoo out of it. And that is how I would love everyone to see tattoos as, but that is just, the reality is this is not always the case. But I will say that although that initial dress code policy was off-putting to me, I did not let it deter me from that job. And I actually ended up really loving that job and falling in love with that team, and loved working with them on a day-to-day basis. They're so amazing. We're still friends to this day, and they're just incredible people. And the work was actually fun. And, had I not been open-minded about someone else's conservative views on tattoos, or how you display those, I would have missed out on a really, really fantastic experience in my life. So you have to make the decision that is best for you. But I will just say that if you're asked to cover your tattoos, it may not be the worst thing in the world. You do you. Totally up to you. But I did not regret having to cover up my tattoos. It was challenging because girl clothes are just not made to cover up things like this, but I made it work. So moving on, managing time zones. I saw this recently in a group thread that I'm a part of, and this time zones are such a mind-boggling thing. I get why they're necessary, but my God, does it hurt my brain from time to time. As an executive assistant, you're likely going to be managing people in a lot of different time zones, and that can be very challenging, especially if there are global locations within your company's footprint. That can be challenging. Time change is always such a bear to deal with. So awful. So awful. So my tip in managing the time zones is, you don't necessarily have to manage every single time zone that you're going to come across in your day to day. What I will tell you to do is go on to, and I am not sponsored by them. These people don't know who I am. It's timeanddate.com is a great way to figure out what time it currently is or will be in a particular date. Like, you can set the locations of all the different places, the dates in which that will happen, and it will convert the time for you, and it will include like daylight savings times or whatever. So it's a free website. It's one that I've always used. Again, they don't know me. You can use whatever you want. I am just asking you to find a tool that works best for you and to use that to help you. And people will be amazed, like mind blown amazed, that you can convert time zones the way that you can. It's an incredible tool to have in your back pocket if you have to deal with a lot of time zones and meeting planning and all of that. And it will save you a lot of frustration and will save your brain a lot of energy. So find whatever tool you want. Another tip that you can use is, if you and your executive, or you have executives that are going to be in different time zones, what you can do on Outlook and Google as well is set different time zones, and you can label them for who is where at any given time. This also works really well if one executive has to be in a different time zone. You can set dual time zones on their calendar so that you know, like, where they're going to be, this is the time, but where we are based and what I need to schedule is based in our time zone. Like, you have those comparisons together. So I say all that to say, time zones do not have to be hard, and they do not have to hurt your brain. So please save yourself the energy. Next up, what job helped prepare me the most for my career as an EA? Well, let me tell you, probably not gonna believe it, but when I first started working, I was 17. I became a waitress, waiting tables in a breakfast restaurant, then moved into retail, like higher priced boutique level, switched into different types of retail, dealt with a lot of different types of customers, and then I moved into the hospitality industry in the hotel world. So throughout that, meeting all different types of people, addressing all different types of needs in varying ways, really helped me create like a white glove customer service type skill set. And being an executive assistant is very similar to customer service in the sense that you have someone that you are in charge of solving problems for all the time and helping them throughout their day. And so if you are coming across this and you think maybe you want to get into this type of career, but you don't know exactly where to start, I'm not saying that a recruiter is going to immediately see your customer service work and translate that over into you being a great admin, but in terms of real life skills and most importantly, patience and temperament, that's where you're going to build that very, very quickly. Maybe you are already in that type of work and you're trying to transition into something that is a little bit more stable, like I did years and years ago. That can serve as an encouragement to you to offer what you have learned in really tough situations as, I am super prepared for this type of role because of XYZ. And if you are currently in food service or retail, God bless you. You deserve like awards and accolades upon awards and accolades. Like, you're amazing. Thank you so much for what you do. Okay, so last question, because my dogs are going a little crazy and they're really ready for me to be done. How to handle someone going over your head as a gatekeeper? Lord, I wish that I could tell you how many times I have prayed to whoever would listen to me to put their hand over my mouth and a hand on my shoulder to hold me back and to keep me from saying what I really wanted to say in situations like this. There is probably not much that is more irritating to me than someone showing this level of disrespect to me and what I do. And it's very hard to keep your cool in a situation like this. Like, I'm not even going to lie to you. So I think that the best way to handle this is just to be very firm. You know, if I told you that my executive is not available, they're not available. And if you come at me saying, well, they said that they were, no, they're not. I'm the one that's in charge of the schedule. I am the one that is in charge of their whole entire work life. I know that they're not available, and people will use that as a way to try to get in. Like, no, you're wrong. They told me that they were available. And the thing is even if your executive did tell them that they were available, the caveat to that always is, I am available only so long as my assistant says I'm available. It is not their job to know their calendar backwards and forwards. Would it be nice? Sure. But they don't. They've got like 50 million 11 things going on. Like, they're not going to memorize their calendar for the day, and sometimes they will overcommit themselves. But at that point, if they come back and say, well, you know, your executive told me that they were available and I could get time at this time, you can say, well, I'm sorry that there was a miscommunication there, but they are not available. This is what I can do for you, though. So I think offering a solution is always important. So first of all, holding your ground, keeping that boundary in place, because you are the gatekeeper. It is your job to protect your executive and to protect their time, but also offering a solution to say, you know, I will give you time in this particular range. And sometimes what people will do is they will just go straight to your executive and they'll say, you know, can I get time on your calendar? And the relationship that I would love for everyone to have with their executive is for them to immediately send them to you, which just feels so good. Like, if that's what's happening and your executive knows to send that person, whoever, immediately to you, then it's just like a victory. And you're like, back in my courts, are you? But no, legitimately, like, that is the ideal relationship that I would love for everyone to have with their executives. And if you don't quite have that yet, then that is something that I would love for everyone to develop, for them to know that you are the master of their day and that you are the one that should be planning and organizing all of that. And, you know, when that does happen, when people just skip over your head and go straight to your executive because they're trying to get something out of them and then they get routed back to you, I think it's always important to be very clear in your response. Listen, so-and-so, I am genuinely not trying to be difficult to work with here. I am not trying to be malicious. I am not trying to be petty, or whatever scenario that is. Just say, I am not trying to be difficult to work with. I want you to be able to have the time that you say that you need. However, that time currently does not exist. And I really would appreciate you working with me on this so that we can figure out the solution together. That's the ideal scenario. It doesn't always happen like that. So if this person going straight to your executive and getting what they want is what happens, what you can then do is have a conversation with your executive of, this is what I'm trying to do. I am trying to do my job as a gatekeeper to protect you and your schedule. And by you allowing this person that I already said no to just immediately have your time, it sets a precedent that anyone can just go over my head at any time that they want. And then that completely defeats the purpose of me being here as a gatekeeper for you. And they should understand that. You should be able to find common ground in that. I hope you do. And then you just move forward. Or, you know, sometimes people are really difficult to work with and you have to be upfront with your boss. Like, hey, listen, I have told this person no several times. They keep coming after me. I noticed they came directly to you. Did you promise them time that I don't know about and that I'm supposed to be working to build into your calendar, and then you take that answer and run with it. And then if you cannot seem to get this person to respect you in your position, your executive may have to step in and go to bat for you and say, this is so-and-so's job to do this, and I really need you to work with them. Whatever they say goes. I trust them, and you need to trust them as well. Like, everything is going to get done. It just is going to get done in a particular order based on my priorities, which this person knows about. So I hope that helps. That's a really tough situation to get involved in, but I hope those tips and tricks help you when you find yourself in that situation. Honestly, I hope no one ever steps over your head. The reality is people suck and they're disrespectful sometimes. So, if that happens, there's some pointers that have always worked really well for me. And hopefully you and your executive can come to a common ground to find a solution to that. So anyway, happy Friday. I hope you have something amazing planned, whether it is some amazing adventure or you're just relaxing at home, watching movies, getting cozy. Take care of you. You are amazing and you're a badass and you work very hard at your job. So make sure that you are taking time for yourself to honor yourself and your needs. And I will see you here next time. Bye.